Right, let's see if this works. I don't know what happened, and whether it's likely to happen again. Um, is that working? Is that better? We oh yeah. My catchphrase. Um, right, okay. Let's try this again. See if it blows up this time. I do apologize. As live as I possibly can be. Right. Do we start again? Yeah, we start again. Right. Okay. The world is going to hell. Like there's a lot of negativity out there being directed at completely the wrong people, and I'm tired of it, and I'm drained by it, and my biggest issue with the whole damn thing is the fact that it it just feels like nothing's ever going to change anyway. Um, and I'm sick. So I just want to talk about some bots. I just want to bring some positivity into a negatively filled world as it stands at the moment by talking about something that is completely not important, because there are a lot more clever people out there talking about the important things, and I will leave it to them, and I will get on with this little world that I've got going on in here. And if I can bring some joy and happiness to you and it keeps you entertained for 5 minutes, then job done. And I'm going to talk about robots. How's the weather? Hello. How are you doing? What's up? Um, Weather's cooling, which is nice. Um, how am I doing? I'm frustrated, just like everybody. Like irritated is the word of the day. Um, because the world's on bloody fire, and I'm sick of it. Like, really am. And what's up? Nothing good. Well, the general cost of living is up. I'm trying to be positive. Right. Okay. Right. So where was I? Yes, I was talking about toys. Bear with me 2 seconds. One of them has fallen down. So just a quick one. I picked up. Oh yeah, camera's over here now. Right, picked up Cliffjumper. And I picked up Starscream. From Earthrise. Now, I really haven't had a chance to play with these yet. As you can see, they're still in the boxes and stuff like that. But if anybody watched my last video, one of the things that I was talking about was scale and trying to sort of whittle down collecting to the thing that you want the most. And please feel free to comment and stuff like that, leave your questions and all that. I like these when they're interactive, when people are bouncing backwards and forwards. But over there, you can't see it, but over there, you'll have to trust me, right? I have got basically my Autobots, right? And my Autobots basically consist of the Autobots that were part of the Sunbow show through seasons 1 to 4, okay? As best I can recreate them. Now, when I say Sunbow, what I mean is that cast of characters. I don't mean that the figures have to necessarily be a 100% exact replica of the characters that appeared in the Sunbow shows, because you're never going to be able to get that. You can't even get a complete, 84 lineup, right? In something like the Masterpiece line, which is the only line which would be dedicated enough to be able to give you the most perfect toy version of the characters you see on the TV show. Okay. So my brain is like, right, that ain't ever going to happen, because we ain't ever going to get an official Masterpiece jars. And yes, you can fill in all those little gaps with third parties, but third party isn't my jam. I find third party to be complicated. And when I say complicated, I mean I can barely keep up with it. It's over expensive, underproduced, and I've always found that whenever I've bought third party, it's always been a gamble. Now, don't get me wrong, there are collectors out there who specifically deal in third party, and to those people, I say, good luck to you. I don't need something to be super overly complicated. I need it to be fun. And again, that's another reason why I'm sort of pushed away from the Masterpiece line. Plus, on top of everything else, I don't care what Hound comes with or how many faces RC comes with. I am not paying over £100 for a figure which 2 or 3 years ago would have cost me 60 or 70. The price for Masterpieces has gone up through the roof, and it's pointless. So I'm in the process of trying to put together my perfect 80 Sunbow Transformers collection. All right, and so I picked up Cliffjumper because really the only Cliffjumpers that we've had in sort of the Chug line and all of that stuff that has ever sort of scale matched is either the original Cliffjumper, which came out in 2007 as part of the Classics line, which was the repaint of the Bumblebee, or alternatively like Legends toys. And this is marketed as a deluxe, and some people might say, oh, well, he's not deluxe. Yeah, well, he's not Legend either. Plus, you get accessories with him. I mean, you get one accessory, it's a cannon, but ultimately, I still think he's definitely worth the money, and he's great because he's in scale with what I want. Mr. Powell says third party oversaturated, 6 different MP style G1 bots, and they really should be filling gaps in Chug underrepresented media. Yeah, like if I were a third party, right? What would I be aiming for at the moment? Okay, would I be trying to make another third party set of Stunticon Masterpiece figures, right? Now, look, I get why they're doing the combiner thing. They're doing the combiner thing because they're like, right, well, look, if we can get them on the hook for one figure, then we can get them on the hook for all 5, right? And one of them is going to be the middle one, your Motor Master, your Silver Ball, whatever it is. And that we're going to charge like twice the amount for because it's bigger and stuff. And like, I'm sure that's the business plan. And that's why like Masterpiece combiners are kind of like the thing that third party seems to produce now, right? But why would you? I mean, maybe it's just the collector's market. Maybe there isn't anybody who isn't like a G1 fan who's interested in Masterpiece. But I tell you what, if somebody turned around and said, yeah, we're going to fill the gaps in like the animated line, we're going to give you like an animated Omega Supreme, or we're going to give you animated Constructicons, right? Or we're going to give you, based on the designs that were put out there, we're going to give you the Season 4 Megatron. Are you trying to tell me that they wouldn't sell as well? I don't know. Third parties are just a bit weird as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, back to the story at hand. So he's good. Starscream, as people probably know, not really a fan of the character and don't really collect Starscream toys. However, the reason that I'm picking this guy up is because over the last few years, Hasbro has gotten really, really good at scaling their Transformers. Like, super good. To the point where I think, like, since probably, I don't know, Titan Masters and stuff like that, I feel like Hasbro's had a plan in their head where they've just gone, right, okay, we're going to do this, then this, then this, then, and we're just going to build and build and build. But we're going to try and make sure that when people buy our figures, they fit within the context of the previous toys that they've bought. So this Starscream, the reason that I've bought him is because of the fact that in the last few years, Voyager has become the scale of the core Decepticons. Megatron, Shockwave, Soundwave. the Tetrajets, like, so when they're doing the Earth version of them, then I'm like, all right, fair enough then. I'm not going to go out of my way to try and track down a ridiculously overpriced Skywarp Tetrajet, but I will buy this, and then I will definitely buy the Skywarp and Thundercracker 2-pack when it comes out. It just seems absolutely logical. And I just love the fact that you've got this Voyager scale Decepticon team. Obviously, Reflector is a different matter entirely, but I, in my own fan head, expect Reflector would be tinier than them anyway. So take that for what it's worth. So scale is kind of the reason that I've bought this guy. The only thing that's irritating me is the fact that, well, we saw this in Siege, that they basically just repainted this mold to buggery. I mean, did we get, I don't think we got Acid Storm, did we? But we got like a yellow one and a green one and all of that stuff. So I don't know if, I'm guessing they're supposed to be, the 3 characters from More Than Meets the Eye Part 1. Their names escape me now. But point is, I don't want them to just repaint this to buggery. Just remold it ever so slightly. Give me the cone head. Could you imagine? Because really, like, with the exception of the original Classics line, that's kind of the last time that we've been able to collect the original 6 jets. Like, for me, in terms of, like, the jets, right, it's those 6. Those are the 6 that I need. I'm putting up 10 fingers, but 6. I need the original 3, and I need the cone heads. Yeah? So remold that bugger into a cone head, and I will be very, very happy. Thank you very much. I appreciate the fact you, like, wing remolds and all of that stuff, but get on that, Hasbro, because that would be excellent. That would be really, really good. What's people saying? I do like MP, but not very happy with the price. Yeah, exactly. The Beast Wars masterpieces were ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. In terms of price. Paul says they sell like hotcakes. I'm assuming you're referring to the animated stuff. Starscream, not a fan of the character. Trying to wrap my head around that one. Yeah, I know. Like, I've just always, he's the treacherous one, right? He's the treacherous one in an evil organization. But the problem is, and this is kind of the reason why I've always kind of found Starscream to be pointless, right? The reason Megatron supposedly keeps him around is because he's so good, but we never see him do anything good. He's never useful either. He's a completely superfluous character. Like, if he was amazing at anything, then that might be one thing, but he just keeps messing up. But yeah, like, I really, really badly want the cone heads. Like, I want all 6 of them. That would be great. And then get on with making a Voyager, Cyclonus, and Scourge, and a new Galvatron. The Titan Master one is a bit too clunky for my tastes. It's the best Galvatron we've had in literally decades, but it's not perfect. And it's not perfect because it falls foul of the Titan Master gimmick. I don't know. Just a thought. Anyway, what are people saying? Not sure if you know, but I believe the cone heads are in the works for Earthrise, the next part of the trilogy. Excellent. Perfect. Like, I mean, obviously there's loads of rumor and stuff speculated about what's going to be on Earthrise. But yeah, like, let's hope so. I'm a sucker for classic cartoons, and I prefer Thrust, Dirge, and Ramjet to Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp. Just visually, I think they're nicer looking. There's more diversity in them and stuff like that. So, not to suggest that any of the Seekers at any point really did anything of interest in, especially like the Sunbow cartoons. Starscream's, the most impressive thing that Starscream did was die in Transformers the movie. Yeah, okay, there was that whole business with Bruticus and coming back to life and all of that, and he's got an indestructible spark. Yeah, I get all of that. Blah 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 blah. but you're still a whiny little gnat. Like, Megatron should have just killed you years ago, but never mind. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully, we do get that. Right. Haha, Universe 2.0 Galvatron. Actually, hold on. I don't know why, but for months on my desk, I have had Galvatron's arm just lying here. Just there. Galvatron 2.0 from the Universe line. Just I don't know where the rest of the figure is. I guess I keep this close to remind me of what has been and where I don't want it to go anymore. So, you know. Right, okay, so that then brings us to... Oh, hold on a minute. We'll save this. Mr. Powell says... a question then. How would you write Starscream to be purposeful character? What would his proficiency be? Well, I mean, that's it, isn't it? His proficiency is that he's supposed to be an incredible aerial commander. He's supposed to be absolutely brilliant, and that's what you need. The problem you've got is the fact that the Autobots don't fly, right? So it's kind of one of these things where if the Autobots can't fly and the Decepticons all can, then there's a discrepancy there. You know what I mean? So if you're going to write Starscream as being proficient as an aerial commander, his expertise need to be unique. All right. Now, when I say unique, I mean he doesn't need to be the only one that can fly, but he needs to be able to fly where others can't. So what you do is you set up a scenario where the Decepticons, not all of the Decepticons can fly either, right? Because are you telling me that Megatron in robot mode with the ability for sustained flight in a fusion cannon is less useful than Starscream in a jet mode? Yeah. Maybe you do something where it's, they could fly on Cybertron, but on Earth, you have a situation where only ones that have an aerial alt mode have the ability to be able to fly. Now that Megatron's a tank and he doesn't need to be carried around by people, and Soundwave's a SUV or whatever it is, and he can drive around, then there you go. Like, make Starscream's skill be literally the fact that he is one of the few flyers that there is, and therefore adds a military strategic importance. Not to mention the fact that Skywarp and Thundercracker are basically bumbling idiots anyway. Okay, so they need to be kept in line. You turn Starscream basically into the Red Baron. Like, he's just good in the air. And then as you slowly but surely start to build up, like, say, the aerial bots, you build up the aerial bots and you introduce the aerial bots. I'm spitballing my own Generation 1 fanfiction here. You bring the aerial bots in specifically because of the fact that the Autobots are getting toasted by Starscream, because at the end of the day, an ambulance and a semi-truck are pretty useless against aerial bombardment 1,500 feet in the air. Yeah? I don't know. Does that work? Does that make sense? I hope so. Didn't the Unicron trilogy make Starscream more competent? Well, yeah, like Starscream, Armada Starscream is probably my favorite Starscream. Because while he was treacherous, he was also quite noble. Like, and when you have to defer to Energon as Armada as your default position for a good character, like, this is it, right? He's popular because he's schemy and conniving, and for whatever reason, people find that to be a positive trait in fictional characters. At least he has a character. It's better than 99% of the characters that were actually on the shows. I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, Starscream, man. Like he just doesn't do it for me. Megatron should have shot his ass. Well, he did shoot his ass in the original. He shot him a couple of times, but he never killed him. That was the problem. Anyway, so I've got those two. Scale is super important. And then look at that. I finally picked this guy up, which is the Netflix. Now, I don't know if anybody saw like my post on one of the Facebook groups. I wasn't going to buy this, but I don't know if you can see, but this set comes with pinpointer, and I don't care about the Megatron. I care about pinpointer because I love the Rebirth, and I've got a Crosshairs figure over there. Now, the Crosshairs figure is literally holding this exact figure, but just in a different color scheme. All right? But it's pinpointer, and that's what I want him for. So, like, I already have this Megatron. I've got the original version of this Megatron, and I haven't opened this guy yet, so I don't know whether or not I'm going to like this one over the other. Certainly has more paint detail and stuff like that, but the question becomes, does he look out of place compared to everybody else? Is his paint scheme too good compared to everybody else? And in which case, does that mean that I want to keep hold of the original Megatron or this Megatron? Because I'm going to get rid of one of them, and I don't know which one yet, but I bought it for this, man. I literally bought it for pinpointer. Yeah. It comes with this other dude, Lionizer. I mean, why didn't they just repaint him and call him Steeljaw? Seems like a bit of a no-brainer. But so I'm going to have a look. I'm going to see. I mean, the paint apps, the pictures on the back look really nice. So I'll have a look and mess around with them and stuff like that. Mr. Powell, I mean, if you want to get rid of the Netflix Megs, I will message you, Mr. Powell, and let you know either way. But yeah, so I got a pinpointer, which is great because now I've got crosser. You can't tell me as well, right? You can't tell me that Hasbro, in their slimy little, and I mean this with all the love in the world, you can't tell me that Hasbro, with all their slimy little treachery, didn't think to themselves, okay, look, we're going to release a Crosshairs, right? Nobody cares about Crosshairs. I care about Crosshairs because he's an Autobot Target Master, and like I say, I'm a sucker for anything that's related to the Rebirth, right? But Crosshairs was there to make up the numbers, right? Crosshairs didn't do anything. The headmasters in the Rebirth were important. The Target Masters less so because, for the most part, the Target Masters that got any kind of good things to do in the Rebirth were the classic headmasters, yeah, Hot Rod, Cup, and Blur. But you can't tell me that Hasbro didn't go, right, we're going to release this Crosshairs. Could we release Pinpointer as well? Well, hold on a minute. We're going to have to repackage this Megatron, and we probably want to make more money on it because we're going to put more paint on it. Why don't we just stick that toy in there and call him Pinpointer, and some sucker will end up buying it? And that was, ladies and gentlemen, me. I am that sucker. Hasbro suckered me into buying a toy which I already own because I already own another toy, but I want that toy in the right colors. It's the Malibu Stacy of Transformers, except for the fact that she doesn't have a new hat. She has exactly the same hat. It's just in a different color. Collectors should not be allowed to have control of their own money. I say it. I said it. I'll say it again. In the times that we're living in, where people are struggling and dealing with stuff like that, I shouldn't be allowed to spend £40 on a toy that is just a different color version. Who am I kidding? We've been doing it since the 80s, man. Never mind. Sorry, rant over. What have we got? I mean, it reminds me, everybody buying the second MP Soundwave just for Ratbat. Yeah, but at least Ratbat was a different toy. At least Ratbat was a new mold. I almost did that. I didn't. I didn't. Crosshairs was my brother's first Transformer. I got cut the same day. I got a better deal. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you did. Incidentally, here's just a really ridiculous anecdote. When I was a kid, a good friend of mine, Adrian, he and I used to collect Transformers and stuff like that. So there was one Christmas, and this must have been about 87 or 88, because this was when the Headmasters were hitting, like the first wave of Headmasters. And my mum bought Hardhead, and I want to say Brainstorm. I can't remember exactly. Might have been Chrome Dome, but she bought two of them. One was for me, one was for him for Christmas. Okay. David didn't like that. David didn't like the idea that I had to give up one of those Transformers. So when Mum's back was turned, David opened both of them. David took the abuse. David took the verbal bashing that he got. But David got two Headmasters out of it. I'm not pretending that David was a good kid. Really pissed me off when we were able to get Scoop with his two. Yeah, that's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Like Scoop came with his double target master, but Spinister didn't. Yeah, and yeah, they did release Spinister's target masters though, didn't they? Did they come with one of the jets? I think I couldn't even tell you who Spinister's target masters are, because again, Spinister didn't appear in the cartoon, so I don't care. No, I do care about Spinister, but I don't care about Spinister as a target master. You know what I mean? Like it's the same with Scoop. Like the reason that I do slightly care about Scoop as a target master is because I did have him as a kid, but I never had Spinister. And you know what? Like I'm gonna David's controversial opinion of the minute. Spinister was cool in Dreamwave. In the Armada comic. And if you can remember why Spinister was Generation 1 Spinister was in the Transformers Dreamwave Armada comic, you can have 5 points in my quiz. I really liked him in that. And obviously, yeah, he was in James Robert. But more to the point, the Armada comic, Spinister, it was cool. That was actually kind of like my first introduction to Spinister as a character as well. So that was a bit weird. But yeah, why they would do it for Scoop and not him, I have no idea. Probably again for exactly the same reason that they did with Pinpointer. Collectors shouldn't be allowed to spend their own money. That's why we get married. Not exactly kept in line, but at least Trish knows where I need to be sensible. Yeah, I know. That's it. Yeah. Like I know this is going to sound like, especially given everything that's going on in the world at the moment around COVID and stuff like that, but if there was a silver lining that's come out of this whole COVID-19 business, it's the fact that as a result of me working from home, and as a result of shops being shut, and as a result of Grace, my wife, being basically in lockdown and me being in lockdown with her, we've saved a crap ton of money, which I'm now spending on £40 Target Masters. You know, just saying, Skylinks is on his way. Yeah. So there's a silver lining, I guess. They released Singe and as a single battle master, and Hair Splitter with Sky. Yeah, so that explains it then. Yeah, I thought I did think they had released his Target Masters. But again, yeah, it's kind of a bit crappy. Like I say, I don't think there's many, unless you've got an affinity for him as a toy back from when you were a kid. I don't really think there's a great deal of people who care about Spinister being a Target Master. Do they? I don't know. Maybe. Like I say, I care about Scoop, but only because I had him. And then they've renamed, yeah. Wasn't Spinister the last survivor Transformer? Yes, he was. There we go. So, yeah. So in the Armada comic book, Unicron shunts Armada Optimus Prime into the previous universe that he's currently devouring in order to prove to Optimus Prime that there's no hope against him. And Spinister is literally the last surviving member of that entire universe. Well, the Cybertronian society, I guess. So go Spinister, like you were the last man standing, and then he just accepts death. But you know, it's neither here nor there. Da, 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 da. I'm just reading Mr. Powell's response there. My girlfriend actively encourages my poor spending habits. Your girlfriend, sir, is a keeper. Just wait till you get married. It all changes, son. It all changes. Yeah. So, okay. So that's where we're at, kind of at the moment. So I've bought Pinpointer, and I got a free Megatron and a weird lion thing. I've got Starscream. I've got Cliffjumper. All is good, and now we are on the road to Earthrise, aren't we? That's the next step. I've just gotten a message on Facebook telling me that I'm in trouble. Came from my wife. And I have this really horrible suspicion that she's watching. And now I can hear her laughing, so I definitely know she's watching. So can I just say that previous comment that I mentioned regarding it all changes when you get married, it really doesn't. All that happens when you get married is that you find eternal bliss. And Mr. Powell, I cannot wait for you to get married to find that similar bliss that I have found. I love you, Grace. Hello. Dave, are you in on any of the third-party Minisaurs? Oh, no, not in the slightest. Like I say, I mentioned this. Grace says, keep digging. So my wife is watching, ladies and gentlemen. We have to be careful with what we say. No, I mentioned at the start of the stream. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that my battery doesn't die. I mentioned at the start of the stream that I don't really give in to third party anymore. It's too expensive, and I feel like it's a bit of a mugs game. And plus, on top of everything else, I couldn't I would love. I think some of the third party Stunticons look really nice, but I couldn't tell you which one belongs to which company or whatever it is, or which one's the better one. And when you look at all of their sets, because I think there's like 3 or something like that going at the moment. There's like bits from this set that I really like, and bits from this set that I really like, and bits from that set that I really like. And if you combine them all together, I would probably have no choice, as a massive fan of the Stunticons, to actually give in. But because I don't want to collect Masterpiece anymore, I feel absolutely no inclination to keep up with it. So yeah. I seem to remember hearing Tricky saying that his other half was encouraging him to get Unicron, even though he said he couldn't justify it. I mean, I couldn't justify Unicron. I know several people who have got him pre-ordered. I just think Hasbro dropped the ball with that. Like, if they'd let me pay in installments over however many years it's going to be before that thing drops, I would have pre-ordered him. Like, but to need the money up front and to not get the figure for 2 years, and on top of everything else, like, where is that thing going to go? Like, because I'd probably keep him in planet mode, but yeah, it's excuse me, it's a big ask. I look forward to seeing him, but I have this feeling that there's a feeling inside of me somewhere that sort of thinks that figure is going to get a second run. Just a thought. Does anyone know when the Netflix series is getting released this month? No, but is it June or July? It's either this month or next month, isn't it? I don't know. I rewatched the trailer because the only thing that and I think I've said this before, the only thing that stood out to me on that trailer was when Optimus Prime said, "We must not let Megatron find the old spark." And I'm like, oh, here we go again. But I watched the trailer and I kind of maybe overlooked it a little bit. I mean, I'll be interested to see what they do with that show. But yeah, what actually is surprising me though is that we've only had the one trailer. Like, there's no other trailer. I would have assumed that they would have dropped something by now, but maybe they'll drop it like right beforehand just to remind people, hey, this is a thing. Grace says, keep a human line or else. I love my wife, it must be said. Actually, Ultimate Showdown of Destruction. Unicron versus the Death Star. It's not even a competition, really, is it? Like, one little dude in an X-Wing managed to take out a Death Star. It took one little dude with a magic bauble to take out Unicron. I think you need to check your facts, sir. Yeah, it's like I've always said this. Like, the Death Star is stupid. Like, as a weapon, it is. I mean, it's not stupid if you're fighting people that have no way of defending themselves from aerial attack from space. But in the Star Wars universe, where everybody seems to be able to freely travel from planet to planet, it seems to me like a really, really bad idea for a weapon. Not as bad as the one that they made in Episode 7, because Episode 7, they'd literally carved out a planet and put a gun inside of it, hadn't they? But the planet still technically has to travel in space and time. It's still rotating, which means that if you miss your window of opportunity, somebody forgot to change the batteries, does that mean you have to wait, like, who knows how long? The calculations must be insane. Just saying. It's a bit dumb. I'm not saying that both the Death Star and Unicron are both crap. I'm saying that one's crapness outweighs the other. So yeah, so that's kind of what I've been up to. Like I say, I've got them. I've been messing around with figures and stuff like that. Tears Getaway, before he became a weird, creepy sex monster. Go figure. I've been messing around with my headmasters, but I need to find Hardhead and Chrome Dome. They must be upstairs in another box. And I've pretty much ran out of things to talk about, to be honest. So, yeah, I hope you've all found this to be enjoyable. And thank you all for so much for hanging around. Buying Skylinks. Oh, he's in the post. I wasn't going to miss out on Skylinks. Skylinks is awesome. I love me some Skylinks. I've always found, don't you feel that Skylinks is absolutely hit or miss? Like, in terms of the fandom. There is a group of fans over here who adore Skylinks, and there is a group of fans over here who despise Skylinks. There's nobody in the middle. Nobody ever says, I'm indifferent to Skylinks. It's just something I've noted in my time within the fandom. Right, okay. Well, look, I hope you all stay safe in the craziness that is the world at the moment. It's a giant robot chicken. It's worth any price, Pred. Any price. Yeah. To be honest, I could totally see where you're coming from. I didn't want to drop that on Jetfire because I am completely indifferent in regards to the character of Jetfire. I don't care that the original toy was from a different toy line. I don't care that he showed up in 2 episodes, and literally the only reason he showed up in a second episode was because the Autobots needed him, so they decided to dig him out of the ice again. Like, otherwise, if they didn't need him, they would have just left him there. That's how little people care about Jetfire. I did drop the cash eventually just because I messed around with it in hand. I'm still not like a massive fan of it, but this, okay, I promise I'll talk about this and then I'm done, right? Because I get sidetracked. But this goes back to this whole thing about collecting for me, right? Over there is my Autobots. In that section of Autobots, right, there is my best current available rendition of the characters that I like, right? Now, over there, I've got Earthrise Hound, right? But in this tub sitting next to me, because I've been literally going through my figures and stuff, I happen to have Generations Hound, okay? Now, his derpy feet notwithstanding, I've been looking at it and thinking to myself, well, actually, which hound is like the ideal one? Because quite honestly, I think this hound is a better rendition of the character than the Siege one. Okay. And so it's kind of that's where I was at with Jetfire. The Jetfire we got a couple of years ago, he was also in this box, but I think he's stuck in the bottom somewhere. Was a good toy, but that one's like like you're not going to get a better Jetfire than that one. And yes, okay, he was much more expensive. The other one probably cost like 30 quid or something like that. That one was over double that, but he's ideal, you know. Just saying. You're the one indifferent person. Sky, nobody is indifferent to Skylinks. Pick a side. King is a little topic to discuss. What is definition of a combiner? King is a little topic to discuss. What is your definition of a combiner? I don't quite understand the question, but I might be missing something. I would say that a combiner is any robot that is made up of more than one other robot. Like, if you're questioning like what is my favorite combiner type, then it's the classic Scramble City combiner. So the the 5-into-1, just because it had the best play feature. And obviously I discount Predaking in that because he wasn't a Scramble City combiner. And my favorite combiner group of all time is the Stunticons. So yeah, if you're talking toy wise, like again, that despite all of the time that the third parties had in order to try and craft ultimate combiners, Hasbro blew them out of the water because they created the most simple combiner technology. I mean, it took them a little while as well because let's not say Hasbro was perfect. They released that god-awful Combaticon set based on the Fall of Cybertron video game. So it took them a little while to get the combiners right. But the combiner stuff that they released like 5 or 6 years ago, that was cracking. Like you don't need any other combine. The only problem with that was just the mold reuse. Was just the fact that everything was just basically the same toy over and over again. The legs transformed in the same way, whether it was a car or it was a jet. Like there was no. But that was because it was entirely a slave to the gimmick, just kind of like the headmasters. That I'm looking here. I've got Brainstorm, Getaway, Highbrow. They're all basically the same toy for the most part. Fold the arms in, fold the legs in, flip the bottom, take the head off, flip the top over. And there you go. Like, there's nothing really special about them. But now that we're in this uncharted territory where the figures themselves aren't slaves to gimmicks, we're getting some brilliant ones. I would argue, I would argue quite strongly that leader class, Earthrise Optimus Prime, is one of the best toys that has been produced in the last 30 years of the line. Like, if I'm going to put a list together of toys that have been produced in the last 30 years, that Optimus Prime is up there. He's just such a good toy. Everything folds together nicely. There's complexity in him, but it's not. It's simple complexity. You won't struggle figuring out how to transform him. He's not like a Binal Tech or something like that, where in order to transform him, the best way to do it is to simply disassemble the toy and then reassemble it as a car. Like. Oh, I hate Jetfire. Wouldn't have love Skylings, but not sure how I go over. Potentially fell back down the TF rabbit hole. Yeah, I know. Well, I've fallen down the TF rabbit hole a little bit because obviously we don't have a TF Nation this year. And as people will probably be aware, or maybe they're not, I don't know, but like I pretty much like saved up all of my TF spending, and I'm not talking about money, I'm just talking about like my spending of Transformers for when we were at the show. And that's obviously not going to happen this year. But this year, the product that's coming out this year is just like, wow, okay. I'll have one of those. I'll have one of those. I'll have 3 of those. I'll have 10 of them. It's great. Like I'm loving it. It's perfect for me, and it must be perfect for other people because the line seems to be doing incredibly well. I'm just curious as to what they've got to announce. There was the leak the other day that we're going to get like a Earthrise Blue Streak. Well, okay, if we're going to get an Earthrise Blue Streak and we're getting Smokescreen, then are they just going to run the gambit? Are we just going to get Earthrise Prowl, even though we've just had Siege Prowl? Well, probably, because we've just had Siege Megatron, and now we're getting Earth Megatron, and they both still transform into a tank. Hasbro, man. they've just been taking your money since 1984 with a smile on their face. So anyway, right, like I say, ER Prowl is coming as in an Ironhide 2-pack. How does Mr. Powell know all of this? I clearly need to spend more time picking his brains about things. Yeah, okay. Prowl and Ironhide in a 2-pack. Do we know what Ironhide is a repaint of, or are you saying Ironhide's a new mold? Because if Ironhide's a new mold and he's the camper van, yeah, I would assume, yeah. If Ironhide, look, I love that siege mold, the Ironhide, the Ratchet, the Crosshairs. I think that is one of my favorite molds of the last few years. I love it. I think every single time they've used it, it's been great. My problem has been that they used it for Ratchet and then turned him into a Walgreens exclusive. Ratchet deserves better than that. But if you are going to turn Ironhide into a camper van, yeah, okay, I'm all over that, son. Like, sorry, as much as I love that mold, camper van Ironhide is totally my jam. Prowl, yeah, like Prowl will just be a remold of Blue Streak and Smokescreen, you know. But you know what we need, like what I want, what I really, really want. We need a new Jazz figure. Now, the Jazz figure that I've got over there is the Reveal the Shield Jazz. That toy is incredible. Again, it's one of those amazing molds. But I think it's time, because that Reveal the Shield Jazz is what? 8 years old now? No, maybe it's not that old. Maybe 6 or 7 years old. But it's getting there. So I think it's high time that we get ourselves a brand new Jazz figure. If I had me way, like, I think this is the awkward point, to be honest. If we're talking about the new toys and stuff, I totally get that. I totally get the idea that you're going to want to fall back on your fan favorite characters. So Jazz, Ironhide, Prowl, all of these stuff. Like, you know, if you're going to Earth and you're basically just making Earth mode versions of the 84, 85 characters, then it makes perfect sense. I mean, who have we got that we definitely know? Yeah, like we're absolutely convinced, right? We're going to get a new Inferno, yeah, because we had Grapple, right? So that's an absolute must. We know we're getting Trailbreaker already. We've seen him. We know we're getting we've had Red Alert. They'll probably do a Red Alert, I would imagine, maybe, but oh no, they've done Red Alert, haven't they? Like that is basically his, yeah, him and Sunstreaker. Basically, they're the Earth modes anyway. Like the ironic thing is that the characters that I want the most are not Earth vehicles, because what we're missing is we're still missing Point Blank and Sure Shot, and that I think is like one of those glaring omissions. If you know, Crosshairs we've got Crosshairs, but we're still missing those two Autobot Target Masters. And we're also, I think maybe it's also time for us to get like a new Huffer and a new Gears. Like those two characters have been totally underserved in toys. So yeah, like that would be quite good. And do them as that scale. And obviously we need a new Bumblebee, but I mean that's a given, isn't it? Oh well, yeah, because Bumblebee's on the box, isn't he? But he hasn't been shown yet, so we're definitely getting Bumblebee at some point. Yeah, I thought Reveal the Shield Jazz was nearly 10 years old. I was just trying to pretend that I wasn't that old. Reveal the Shield is 10 years old. Oh, I'm so old. I'm going to finish this off. And I'm going to stand up and my bones are going to creak. That Jazz is still a great toy, though. Just saying. It's like the best Jazz toy we've ever had. And I want, like, I need more Jazz in my life. Like, and that's not like some cry for help. That's just like, that Reveal the Shield Jazz is cool, but I want a new Jazz. Anyway, weren't you selling countless Jazz and Tracks figures? Yeah, I was actually. Oh god, I remember that. Yeah, because I'd gone into Smith's like one Friday morning and they had literally just released them, and I spent about an hour standing in the shop, ringing friends, just going, I found the revealed Shield figures. Do you want them? And they were like, yeah. And just so you're interested, I sold them at cost. Yeah, I didn't do a markup or anything like that. I'm not that kind of guy. But yeah, is the toy every reviewer goes for the size comparison? It's the toy every reviewer goes. Oh, is it? It's a good toy. Like, it's funny. Like, I'm looking over at it now, and obviously it's next to he's next to Siege Hound, and he's next to Wheeljack and stuff. And size wise, like he's still a good. He still fits in well. He really does. Like, looking at those figures, the only ones that stand out as being okay. I'm gonna put this out here as kind of like one of my final thoughts, and then I'm going to put this to bed. The Dinobots all need Voyager figures. Dump the Combiner thing and give us all Voyager Dinobots. Because looking at the deluxe class Dinobots over there, they look a bit pathetic. We need giant Dinobots. They don't have enough in them to be leader class. But yeah, maybe make Grimlock a leader, but do the rest of them as Voyagers. Just a thought. Jazz Tracks and Skids are the only three not revealed. Yeah. Does anybody care about Skids? I mean, that Skids toy that they released, what, like 5 or 6 years ago or something? It's dreadful. That is one of the worst toys like that they've released in a long time. God, that was crap. So yeah, like get us a new Skids toy. Alpha Trion. Give us a Generations Alpha Trion figure. You know, if you're gonna release Quintessons, release Alpha Trion. Right. Okay. Listen. It's been an hour. I appreciate everybody who's hung around for the hour. Thank you all so much. It's been incredibly therapeutic for me. I really appreciate this, and I hope that you've at least got something enjoyable out of the day. and it's been fun, and it's taken your mind off a lot of the stuff that's going on. Mr. Powell, I'll be in contact with you soon in regards to whether or not I feel that this Megatron is worth hanging on to or not. Basically, once I've looked at them side by side and gone, if you're interested, that is, hit me up. Obviously, just send us a message. Take care, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Stay safe. Try to not put yourself in any debt by buying Transformers. And I will see you all later. Actually, just before we go, if I schedule one of these for like sometime in the future, like, and actually have like a schedule rather than just pressing a button and praying to God that people haven't got anything better else to do with their day, would that be something people would be interested in? See, this is the problem. Yeah, 100%. Sweet. Okay. Cool. I'm going to take Mr. Powell's response as basically everybody's response. So I'm just going to say yes. Okay, cool. Action figure expert. Actually, if you want good scale, then you need to finish Masterpiece Dinobots. Yeah, but I'm not spending that kind of money on Dinobots. Like, I get the scale thing. But no, because they wouldn't. I'm not going to pretend that aesthetics like are always going to mesh, because season 3's aesthetics in the cartoon don't mesh with seasons 1 or 2. But yeah, you ain't ever going to convince me to fall down the third party rabbit hole. I've been down that rabbit hole, and it's mostly always led to disappointment for me. But anyway, right, okay, then take care, everyone. Enjoy yourselves, stay safe, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.